Welcome back to Culture Code English. I am so glad you are here today. Take a slow, deep breath, let your shoulders drop, get completely comfortable, and relax. Today, we are going to explore a deeply warm, comforting, and highly practical American phenomenon: the obsession with giant wholesale warehouses, commonly known as the Costco cult. Imagine this. It is a bright Saturday morning in a quiet American suburb. You decide to join your neighbors for a quick trip to the local supermarket. But as you arrive at the parking lot, you find a massive sea of giant SUVs and family minivans. You walk through the entrance of a concrete warehouse with no windows, no fancy decorations, and towering metal shelves that reach the ceiling. You grab a shopping cart, but this is not a normal shopping cart. It is massive, large enough to comfortably sit two toddlers or hold a small washing machine. As you push your giant cart down the wide aisles, you look at what your neighbors are buying. A school teacher is loading a pack of 30 rolls of toilet paper into her cart. A business analyst is carrying a box containing 5 gallons of milk. A retired couple is happily buying a giant roasted chicken that is steaming hot and smells incredibly delicious, all for just $4.99. At the food court near the exit, hundreds of families are sitting at red picnic tables. They are eating massive hot dogs and drinking sodas. This combo has cost exactly $1.50 since the year 1985. It has never increased in price, even through decades of inflation. The founder of Costco once famously promised that if anyone raised the price of the hot dog, he would destroy them. To an American, that $1.50 hot dog is not just lunch. It is a sacred promise of trust and security. If you come from a culture where people buy fresh groceries every single day in small neighborhood markets, this sight can feel completely overwhelming. You might think, why do Americans buy food in quantities that could feed an army for a month? Why do they pay an annual membership fee just to enter a grocery store? Why is shopping at a warehouse treated like a joyful family weekend ritual? The truth is, to a middle-class American, Costco is not just a place to buy cheap toilet paper. It is a modern temple of suburban life. It is a place of comfort, abundance, and shared identity. In a suburban society built around large houses, long driving distances, and car dependency, shopping at a wholesale club is a necessary survival skill. But over many decades, it has evolved into a deep cultural code, a symbol of the American dream of prosperity, safety, and smart living. By understanding this deep connection, you stop seeing the giant warehouse as a cold, industrial grocery store. You realize it is a warm, essential piece of the American puzzle where families gather to celebrate abundance, practicality, and community trust. Let us begin with our first step: understanding the geography of abundance. If you grow up in a dense, bustling city in Europe or Asia, your relationship with food is very different. You walk out of your apartment building, and within 5 minutes, you find a small bakery, a fresh vegetable market, or a neighborhood grocery store. You buy exactly what you need for dinner that night. Your refrigerator is small because you do not need to store food. The city itself is your pantry. But when you move to suburban America, this walking lifestyle completely disappears. Suburban America is designed around low-density living and massive spaces. The nearest supermarket is often a 15 to 20-minute drive from your house. Going to the grocery store every single day is highly inefficient. It wastes your valuable time, your energy, and expensive gasoline. Because of this car-dependent landscape, Americans had to develop a different survival strategy: bulk buying. Instead of shopping for tonight's dinner, Americans shop for the next 2 weeks. To support this lifestyle, American houses are built with incredible storage capacity. Kitchens are spacious, with large walk-in pantries designed to hold dozens of canned goods and dry foods. Most importantly, American refrigerators are massive, often featuring double doors and giant freezer compartments. In fact, if you walk into a typical suburban American garage, you will frequently find a second, dedicated chest freezer standing quietly next to the family car, completely packed with frozen meats, vegetables, and convenience foods. When you have the physical space to store 3 months of food, buying a 30-pack of toilet paper or a giant box of cereal is no longer a silly excess. It is a highly smart, cost-effective strategy. Let me tell you about David. David moved from a crowded, vertical city to a quiet, peaceful suburb in Atlanta, Georgia. In his old city, his mother walked to the fresh market every single morning to buy ingredients for dinner. When David arrived in Georgia, he tried to maintain this daily routine. But he quickly realized it was exhausting. Driving 20 minutes each way, negotiating traffic, and walking through giant parking lots every single day just to buy a carton of milk and some chicken was draining his energy. One Saturday, his neighbor, John, noticed David's frustration and invited him to join him on his weekly trip to Costco. David was mesmerized by the towering metal shelves and the massive packages of food. John looked at David's small grocery list and laughed. "David," he said, "in the suburbs, we don't shop for today. We shop for the next 2 weeks. Look at the size of our houses and the size of our cars. We have the space. Why waste your time driving to the store every day?" David followed John's advice. He bought a Costco membership, and he even bought a second freezer for his garage, just like his neighbors. He realized that stockpiling food was not a sign of greed or panic. It was the secret, practical code of suburban survival. It gave him a profound peace of mind, knowing his kitchen was fully supplied and his family was safe, all while freeing up his precious daily hours for things that truly mattered. Let us move to our third step: the secret psychology of the membership club and the story of the $1.50 hot dog. When you shop at a normal grocery store, you simply walk in, choose your items, and pay. But to shop at a warehouse like Costco, you must show a plastic card with your photo on it at the door. And to get that card, you must pay an annual fee of $60 or even $120. To many people, this sounds completely illogical. Why would anyone pay money just for the right to spend more money? But this fee is the magic key to the entire warehouse business model. It creates a powerful psychological effect inside your brain. Once you pay that annual membership fee, a quiet voice in your mind says, "I have already spent my money on this card. Now, I must shop here as much as possible to get my money's worth." This is a clever human instinct. It turns casual shoppers into fiercely loyal club members. But this membership card is also a contract of absolute trust. Normal supermarkets make most of their profits by raising the prices of their items. But a wholesale warehouse works in a completely different way. They do not make their money from the goods on the shelves. They make almost all of their profits from the membership fees. Because they make money from the cards, they can keep the profit margins on their products incredibly low, usually under 14%. They negotiate with giant manufacturers to get the absolute lowest prices possible, and they pass those savings directly to you, the member. When you walk into the warehouse, you do not need to check other stores to see if the price is fair. You already know it is the lowest price possible. The membership card is your silent guarantee of honesty. Now, let us talk about the ultimate symbol of this trust, the hot dog combo. Since the year 1985, Costco has sold a massive, high-quality beef hot dog and a 20-ounce soda with free refills for exactly $1.50. Think about how much the world has changed since 1985. The prices of housing, cars, movie tickets, and regular groceries have tripled, but that hot dog combo has stayed exactly the same price for over 40 years. There is a legendary story about this. At one point, the chief executive officer of Costco walked up to the co-founder, Jim Singal. He complained that the store was losing millions of dollars by keeping the hot dog at $1.50, and he suggested they raise the price. Jim Singal looked at him and said, "If you raise the price of that hot dog, I will kill you. Figure it out." He was serious. He understood that the hot dog was not just food. It was a physical proof of the company's devotion to its members. If they raised the price of the hot dog, the invisible bridge of trust between the warehouse and the American family would crack. So, they figured it out. They built their own hot dog manufacturing plants to control the costs, just to keep the price locked at $1.50. Let me tell you about Grace. Grace was a mother of 3 children who lived in Chicago. Every month, she had to carefully manage her family's tight budget. Prices of everything were rising, and she felt a constant, quiet stress whenever she walked down a regular supermarket aisle. But every Friday evening, Grace took her family to the local warehouse. They bought their household supplies, and then they sat at the simple food court. For less than $10, Grace could feed her entire family with massive hot dogs and sodas. As she watched her children laugh and eat, she felt a profound wave of relief and safety. The price had not changed since she was a little girl. In a world of constant change and rising costs, that $1.50 hot dog was a stable anchor. It told Grace, "We respect you. We protect your family's budget." Grace realized that she did not just pay for a membership card to buy cheap things. She paid to belong to a club that kept its promises. That, my dear students, is the real reason Americans love this warehouse culture. It is not just about big boxes. It is about belonging to a community of shared trust and reliable comfort. Let us explore the fourth part of our blueprint, the retail treasure hunt and the social joy of the free sample. When you walk into a normal supermarket, you will see neat signs hanging above every single aisle. Aisle 3, cereal. Aisle 5, baking supplies. The store wants to help you find exactly what you need as quickly as possible so you can leave. But when you walk into a wholesale warehouse, you will notice something highly surprising. There are no signs above the central aisles. You have no idea where the sugar, the coffee, or the paper plates are located. Furthermore, the store managers purposely move products around every few weeks. This is not a mistake. It is a highly calculated, brilliant retail strategy called the treasure hunt. By hiding the daily essentials and constantly changing their locations, the store forces you to walk through every single aisle of the warehouse. And along your journey, your eyes will catch exciting, seasonal products that you never planned to buy. A giant inflatable kayak for summer, a high-quality leather jacket at a massive discount, or a set of professional kitchen knives. Shopping stops being a boring chore. It becomes an exciting adventure. You are a treasure hunter, and you never know what rare prize you will discover in the next aisle. But the real heart of this weekend adventure is the legendary free sample culture. On Friday and Saturday mornings, the warehouse is transformed. Dozens of small, portable stands are set up down the wide aisles. Friendly, retired seniors wearing clean white aprons cook and prepare tiny bites of food on little electric stoves. They offer you a single hot, steaming dumpling, a small piece of organic cheese on a toothpick, a tiny slice of fresh pizza, or a small cup of cold chocolate milk. This is a massive social ritual in suburban America. It is a moment where people get out of their quiet, isolated houses on the weekend, walk for an hour in a spacious, climate-controlled warehouse, and socialize with their neighbors. Parents bring their children, and neighbors bump into each other in front of the sample tables. It is a cheap, fun, and warm weekend activity. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark was a busy, stressed dad who used to dread weekend shopping. To him, going to the regular supermarket was a painful, boring chore. He hated the long lines and the quiet, lonely aisles. But then, Mark started a new Saturday tradition with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, they visited the local warehouse. They treated the trip like a grand adventure. They called the middle aisles the Valley of Treasure. They walked slowly, looking for rare items they had never seen before. One week they found a giant 6-foot teddy bear. Another week they found a beautiful collection of classic children's books. They also walked from stand to stand, visiting the friendly seniors offering free samples. Lily loved chatting with the workers, who always smiled and gave her an extra grape or an extra piece of cheese. By 11:30, Mark and Lily had walked nearly 2 miles, eaten a delicious lunch of free samples, bought a giant box of fresh berries and a roasted chicken, and headed home with big smiles on their faces. Mark realized that the warehouse was not a chore. It was a weekly bonding ritual. It was a warm place where he and his daughter could explore, taste, and connect with their community in the most simple, joyful way. How can you use this knowledge to navigate the unique American warehouse culture? The secret is simple. Enjoy the experience of abundance and understand the deep trust that makes it work. When you go about your week in America, try to see the big picture. When you push a giant shopping cart down the wide aisles of a warehouse, or when you sit at a red picnic table eating a $1.50 hot dog, you are not just a customer in a concrete store. You are actively participating in a proud, decades-old middle-class American ritual. You are experiencing how Americans solve the challenge of suburban distance with practical planning, how they protect their family budgets with reliable, long-term trust, and how they transform a boring, weekly chore into a joyful, shared family adventure. When you learn to decode these daily life secrets, you stop seeing American habits as strange or overwhelming. You realize they are simply natural answers to the world they live in. Look how far you have already come in this video. You have been listening to this real, natural, and deep English story for many minutes now. You did not have subtitles on, and yet you followed the narrative effortlessly. Your ears are naturally adapting to the speed, the intonation, and the flow of the language. You are doing an amazing job. Be patient with your brain. Language learning is not a sprint. It is like watching a beautiful oak tree grow. Every story you listen to, every cultural blueprint you explore, and every minute you spend here is quietly building your ear muscles and making you a stronger, more confident English thinker. Consistency is the ultimate key to success. You do not need to study for hours until you feel completely exhausted. Just 10 or 15 minutes of active, quiet listening every single day is enough to create extraordinary results over time. If you enjoyed discovering the secret history and codes of the American warehouse culture today, and if you are ready to make mindful listening a normal part of your daily English journey, I want you to make a simple, beautiful promise to yourself. Leave a small mark of your progress in the comments below right now. Type, "I am learning every day" in the comments. By writing these 5 words, you are telling your brain that you are growing. You are celebrating a small victory on your path to natural fluency. Thank you so much for spending this peaceful, meaningful time learning with me today on Culture Code English. Keep listening, keep practicing with patience, and never lose your curiosity. I look forward to exploring another beautiful piece of our world with you very soon. Have a wonderful, relaxing evening, and keep using English every single day.